As I made my way out of the cult into Asayuke, I told myself I'd buy some jewelry to keep Douma out of the know about my true intentions for my quest that night. I honestly didn't know how to find Tomio, but my instincts told me that more than likely she was disguising her appearance in her clinic. The city itself was much smaller than the red light district, and only a few people walked the streets at night, making the noises of the moonlight radiant throughout the city. The town reminded me of home, putting me in a good mood for the evening as I made my way into the small antique store before it closed. I looked through the ornate gems and decorated charms and picked a couple out, choosing the ones I know Douma would like most on me. I picked out a ring for him that I hoped he'd like and wear, since he wasn't much of a jewelry person himself. I thought back to my breakdown after fighting Akaza, how a moment of weakness clouded my intentions of never giving up on Douma. I promised myself I'd never let that happen again. It was he and I together for the rest of our lives. That's when I thought about the ring. He and I never exchanged rings when we got married, which was fine since it's not like anything about our relationship was normal, but I fiddled with it. I figured it'd be nice, a sentimental gift for him, one that would solidify our promise to each other even more. I paid the clerk and walked out, my mind clear from the thought of anything except Tomio. I had to figure out how to break the curse that Muzan had over Douma. As I walked through the small town, lights inside the residence and stores began to go off as the moon traveled overhead. While I tried to ignore it, I could help but feel as if I was being watched. Instead of getting worried, I was irritated because I could never go anywhere without someone spying on me. That's when I caught a whiff of a familiar smell. The smell of someone covering up a demonic scent. My guess is that even someone as powerful as Douma wouldn't be able to notice it. I followed it the best of my abilities, even losing track of the scent a couple of times. But eventually I came upon an old building, hidden by lush trees. I knew it was the origin of the scent, so I made my way in and hoped for the best. Lady Tomio? I yelled, hopeful for an answer. Before I could call out again, the young, misty-haired boy rushed out, blocking the way of my path, as if he didn't want me to go any further. The look on his face said it all. I was unwelcomed. "What are you doing here?" he said with an annoyed tone. "I'm here to speak with Lady Tomio, please," I told him, unable to remember his name. "What makes you think you're worthy of speaking to the beautiful Lady Tomio?" he began, getting cut off by a voice in the other room. "Yushiro, enough. Be kind to our guests," the voice of Tomio said, followed by her coming into my view. "Of course, anything for you, Lady Tomio," he said, stepping back so that she could stand in front of me. "Yen, I'm so glad to see you," she said, taking my hands in hers. "Have you considered my offer?" she asked, her tone of voice not changing, yet I could feel she was hopeful. I took a moment to respond, averting my eyes from hers, slightly dismayed to make her upset. "Yes, I have, but that's not why I'm here." She didn't say anything, but she seemed to relax when she realized I didn't want to be human there and now. She probably wasn't even ready for that. What would one need to do to break Muzan's curse? I asked. She softly gasped, as if she didn't expect such a thing from me. "I thought you had already broken Muzan's curse. Why do you need to know?" she said. "I have this for Douma," I responded, determined to leave here with answers. "What a monster," Yushiro scoffed under his breath, once again enraging me with his petty comments. This time, I took a step closer to him, ready to knock his insensitive ass out if I needed to. Tomio extended an arm out, stopping the two of us hitting one another. "Yushiro, don't say another word," she scoffed as he cowered down to her demand. "I can't help you with that, Yen. I'm sorry, but since Douma is an upper rank 2 to be exact, he can't just stop consuming humans without Muzan noticing. It takes an abrupt challenge to break the curse. Douma must want to stop eating humans. It is the only way. Anger consumed through my veins, mainly encased from Yushiro, but the fact that Tomio didn't provide me with an answer nicked at my sanity even more. Trying to keep my composure was difficult, but I knew I couldn't lose it in front of Lady Tomio. It would be disrespectful after all. I quickly came to terms with the fact that this was simply mission failed, and I had to go back thinking at square one. Well, thank you for your time, Lady Tomio. I'm sorry for intruding on your night, I said, turning towards the door to let myself out. But before I could exit, she grabbed a hold of my hand, which made me turn back to look at her. What about the sun? She said quietly. Fear filled my eyes as I remembered what the sun has done to me. I now know I had a red X on my back, bait for Muzan to fulfill his dirty plans to rule this earth as a tyrannical monster. I shuddered, as this was the first time I'd say this out loud. It can't hurt me anymore. Fear now filled Tomio's eyes as Yushiro's brow furrowed in disgrace and anger. Without saying anything else, I walked out of her clinic before losing it to complete emotional breakdown. I walked out of there, and out of Asayuke. All I wanted was to be left off this steam and make it back home to my husband, or I'd come up with a new idea. As I reached the periphery of the town, I was so lost in thought and irritation that I didn't even notice who was following behind me. There had been a pair of eyes on me for most of the time I had been in Asayuke, but I ignored them until those 6 eyes met head on. Beyond me stood the menacing upper rank 1 demon, with his checkered haori and sheathed katana, much like the one the demon slayers used. My mind flashed back to the man with blue eyes that I had ran into right before fleeing from Akaza. Glad to see you're still traveling at night, Yen. Kokushibo spoke, trying to seem friendly. Once again, I had stopped in my tracks, mainly from fear. I didn't know if he was being genuine or if he was trying to get information out of me. I figured staying quiet would be the best plan of action. But my smart-ass mouth took control before I could even stop it. Well, it's not like you could stalk me out in the sun anyways. I felt dumb for saying that, but I hoped it was sarcastic enough not to raise any suspicion. Ignoring the boast remark, he continued to speak. How's the married life going? Surely you don't speak to Douma like that with that pretty mouth of yours. He leans up against a tree as if to seem sly, which only annoyed me more. I truly just wanted to make it back to the cult. What would you possibly want from me? I scoffed, hoping my rudeness would deter him. Well, your hand in marriage, but I guess it's too late for that. He pushed himself off the tree and began to walk towards me. For the first time ever, I wasn't scared. I was furious. I was mad at the world for forcing me to keep secrets from my husband. So, if I had to fight, my anger would drive me to what needed to be done to ensure my survival. This is so off of Kokushibo, but come on, beautiful. Why don't you humor me for a bit? He had gotten close enough to where he could easily touch me. His hand had once again met my cheek, but this time I had the nerve to slap it away. For a split second, he seemed shocked, but he quickly played it off and began to laugh in a menacing laugh, which shook me a bit. I'm going to ask you once more. What do you want from me? Because if it's just all some childish game to you, then just leave me be, I said, sick of looking at his 6 eyes. I'm just making sure you don't need any help, that's all, he said, obviously hiding his true intentions, but I figured it was something that would be hard to get him to spill, so I dropped it. Well, since you are here, you might as well make yourself useful to me, I said as he cocked his eyebrow. Down inside, I felt like I could trust him, and even though this would be risky, I was desperate. Does Muzan know your thoughts? I asked. There was only one way Muzan knew about our previous encounter. He would be livid if he knew another one of his demon moons was drooling over his one shot at total power. Only when I want him to. Bingo. Interesting. I knew he had an appreciate a lovesick Koyu. I retorted, his brow slightly furrowed in annoyance. How do you know it? I asked, hoping for an example. Why do you care? I know you're just trying to figure this out for Douma. And why would I help him? Oh, that was Kokushibo. Sui. Because it would help me, Kokushibo. I batted my eyelashes and reached for his hand, hoping to entice him. Oh, all right. It's pretty simple, if I'm being quite honest, he began. All Douma has to do is override Muzan. It's pretty possible that he can sense Muzan's presence within him. So all he has to do is kick Muzan out of his brain. All demons can do it. They just don't know they can, or fear it could instill repercussions if they do. Muzan won't notice? I asked, truly thinking this was all just a coax. Nope. Douma should be able to fill the gasp with the ordinary memories. Thank you, I said genuinely. You have to fight the urge to conquer the sun, Yen. If you get that point, it'll be over for you. Before I could even say anything, he was gone in the blink of an eye. Thankfully, it was certain that he didn't know about my newly found ability, but it didn't make me feel any better. I sensed turmoil in my future, and I could feel it coming quick if I just stand idly to the side. I had to do something quick.